Welcome, everybody, at another episode of the Wrestling vs. the World podcast. Ladies and gentlemen, if you're enjoying your day, sweet. If not, I cannot guarantee this will help much more because of the subject matter. I mean, by the time I'm posting this episode, it should be the end of 2022, so it's ending on an odd note for the subject matter. But somebody, I can't remember exactly who on YouTube, made a video asking about, like, the worst babyface turns of all time, and there's one that has always stood out to me due to the reasoning behind this beginning. And my choice is the option, or the subject for today's episode, the Great Khali's babyface turn in 2008. Oh, God. Now, granted, there were a few steps to turning a babyface, but this was like the beginning point. And the way they tried doing it was honestly one of the dumbest things I've ever seen. So, let's break this down. So, after being a dominant heel, even though he wasn't the best in the ring, he still at least had the look and the presence of it. He was dominant heel for 2 years, been World Heavyweight Champion, was still challenging in big profile matches against like The Undertaker, John Cena, Triple H, stuff like that. In October 2008, they decided, hey, we're going to turn the Great Khali babyface, and then give him booking going on past that where you really question the validity of the guy. But it started in October 2008 because around a week and a half prior to that, Johnny Knoxville did an interview on his website, jackassworld.com, which no longer exists. He interviewed the Great Khali and started asking about his tallywhacker. Yeah, his pee-pee. And at that point, Khali was getting pissed off, was ready to flip over the table because of it, so on the October 13, 2008 edition of Raw, Johnny Knoxville was invited to be part of the show, courtesy of the Great Khali, in order to try to make amends. So Knoxville was shown with, I think it's Chris Pontius or whatever his friend's name was, also from Jackass, both sitting in the front row. They decide, hey, we're going to attend. And Todd Grisham interviews them saying, what are you guys doing here on Monday Night Raw? Take a guess. And Knoxville presented some images to mock the Great Khali from his website. First one insulted his manhood when they sprayed graffiti on the side of a wall somewhere saying he's got a small wee-wee. Ugh, God. Second one, he's mocking his mic skills. Whoa! I mean, yeah, he's not known for his mic skills, but he says more things than just that. And the third one has Knoxville photoshopped in there with a sign saying, Big Sissy. It's like, okay. And then afterwards, Knoxville denies taking any responsibility for those images being put on the website. It's like, dude, really? You were making yourself really suspicious there. Now, you fast forward a little bit later in the show, and Santino Marella, the Intercontinental Champion, is there with his on-screen girlfriend, Beth Phoenix, the Women's Champion. They're talking about Cyber Sunday and presenting Santino's Honkamita to compare his Intercontinental Championship reign length to the Honky Tonk Man's, because at this point, Santino's like 9 weeks in, and Honky Tonk Man, still the longest reign to this day, 64 weeks. And then Santino says, hey, I'm going to invite the Jackass Man. Yeah, he invites Knoxville to the ring and asks him questions like, why did you decide to mock the Great Khali? Like, are you stupid? But he's like, hey, let me clarify here. I'm just asking about his tallywhacker. And it's like, you dudes get asked about yours all the time, which doesn't sit well with Beth. She's just like, what are you insinuating? And as a result, Beth ends up slapping Knoxville and then slams him, but she stumbles through the delivery because she falls over. It's like, oop! But he still gets a slam. And then afterwards, because Knoxville earlier was like, hey, we came to see the little people, you get a little person, aka Hornswoggle, who goes up the top rope after coming out from under the ring and hits a tadpole splash. It's like, okay, so he gets slapped by a woman and slammed, and then a little person splashes him. Then Chris Pontius comes into the ring, he's checking on him, and what do we get next? Big Dick Johnson. The moment I say those 3 words, everybody knows who exactly I'm referencing to. Dancer, dancer, dancer. One of the creative guys who comes out in a thong, he's like, hey, let's strip and dance. So they both strip and dance, and Big Dick Johnson's got a Speedo on that's kind of like the Billy Gunn's green tights that he had with the lip marks on them and everything like that. And then Chris strips, he's like, yeah, let's dance, woohoo. And then out comes the Great Khali. And Big Dick Johnson's like, fuck you, runs away. Out comes Khali, he's shaking around and shit, clotheslines Pontius, and spits worms into his face, which is fucking nasty. Knoxville finally gets up after he can kind of shake off the feeling a little bit from getting attacked. Pontius is like, ugh, gross. And after Knoxville takes some water, he's like, okay, this wasn't too bad. And he lists off some other stunts he's been through, like with a rocket and a bull and everything like that, saying those were worse. But now out comes the Great Khali. Marches down to the ring, gets in there, standing face to face with between Khali and Knoxville. And Knoxville's laughing. He's almost like, oh, okay, joke's up, okay, everything's cool. But then he mocks his dick size again. Like, tiny peepee. And Khali's not happy, so he puts him in the Khali Vice, lifts him up, and drops him into what was known as the Khali Bomb, now known as the Punjabi Plunge, that two-handed choke slam, and that lays out Knoxville, and Khali goes to the back, and that's it. Now, this, like, they tried further steps, like that same week on SmackDown, where Great Khali tries standing up for himself against the Big Show, who was feuding with The Undertaker, but it's just like, this was the start of his babyface turn. And in reality, it was absolutely stupid. Because, think about it. In order to make somebody a proper babyface, you have to have a heel. There's somebody to despise in order to feel sympathy for the babyface for people to get behind. Knoxville, yeah, he can be a, no pun intended, jackass. But he wasn't doing anything heel-like to make people sympathize with the Great Khali. Like, he wasn't going out there and saying wrestling's fake or mocking the fans or anything. He was just making fun of dick sizes. And it's just like, people are supposed to sympathize with the Great Khali behind this. Like, the only people that are going to sympathize with the Great Khali in this segment are people with small dicks. They'll be like, oh, I sympathize with you, Khali. I get mocked for mine all the time. Like, and no man is going to be out there and openly admit that they sympathize with the Great Khali, because otherwise you admit you got a small dick when you do that. So it's like, really, you're gonna try to make people sympathize with this giant because of the size of his penis? Like, that's one of the dumbest reasons I have ever heard of for how they try to turn somebody babyface and get them sympathy from the crowd. Like, that doesn't work. Like, yeah, some things seem like cliche, like, oh, somebody gets saved from a beatdown because they get attacked by a friend or something, or they stand up to an authority figure that's on the opposite side, like, they go against the babyface heel, or babyface authority manager, or they completely rebel against the heel one in order to turn, but they start turning him babyface because he got his dick size mocked by a celebrity who wasn't really acting fully like a heel in the first place. It's like that. And then you look at his booking afterwards, he's doing the Great Khali kiss cam, and he's just doing pointless comedic stuff, like he's dressed in like a ballerina or a fairy or something like that, and he's doing teams with Natalya and everything. It's just like, this did no favors for Khali. Like, they could do something babyface-like with him, but when you look at his booking, it was absolutely, like, night and day comparison how he was when he was a heel, not including the brief heel run he had when he realigned with Jinder Mahal before they dropped that. Because one moment he's this unstoppable, menacing-looking monster who towers over everybody and just destroys them in their path, to then being a guy who's making out with everybody and is just has no intimidating presence to himself anymore. This started the demasculation of Khali, and again, I'm not saying he's a good wrestler or anything, but at least he had the look to him when he started. Yeah, he could have been better in the ring, but not everybody's going to be a 10 out of 10. Just like, I don't know who wrote this, but it was an awful segment. Like, again, it probably would have worked if Knoxville was acting like an actual heel, but instead he was just like, oh, you got a tiny pee-pee, and you're supposed to sympathize for Khali for that. No. Come on. There were plenty of different ways that you could have gone through this to turn a babyface, but it did not work, because they went with a dumb reason. So anyway, let me know y'all thought in the comment section below about the time they turned Great Khali babyface in 2008. Honestly, this is in terms of segments or angles or whatever that they did in order to turn somebody babyface, this is what I would rank as the absolute worst. Because again, the reason behind it just is absolutely moronic. And the crowd didn't even cheer for Khali afterwards. They knew, like, Knoxville was in danger, like, when he made fun of Khali's dick size, but they weren't like, yay, Khali, afterwards. And you usually want to do that even if you're slowly turning somebody babyface, or even just immediately turning the babyface, like, to show that, hey, he's a good guy now. But they didn't do that, so they didn't have people have a reason right there to cheer him after the segment. Anyway, This episode has gone on long enough. If you guys enjoyed today's episode, please remember to leave a like, subscribe with the bell turned on if you're listening to this on YouTube, or follow if you're listening to this on any other service. And like I said, just let me know what you thought of this segment in the comment section below, and I'll catch you guys later. Thanks for listening, everybody. Like, comment, subscribe. Peace out, and good day, everybody. This was just so dumb.